Hey there, in today's video I'll be installing these pathway lights in front of my house. They should be really easy to install, so let's get started. I do have these lights from Costco and they're about $40 for 8 of them, but I'm finding after about 2 years, after about 2 hours of on time, they run out of battery. And so that's normally okay in the summer because it gets darker a lot later, but in the winter, if it's getting dark at 5 o'clock, my lights are out by 7, and that's kind of an issue. So a few weeks ago, we had a few thieves going up and down the street for a couple of nights, pulling on car doors. They actually ended up stealing my neighbor's car, and because of that, I think that if we had a few more lights on the street, those thieves would have been deterred a little bit more. So that's why I'm kind of putting in these lights. I'm sure that having those lights in probably don't help as much as I want to believe, but hoping that they do, and hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, let's just get started on the video. Regardless, even if it doesn't deter thieves, it still makes the house look better. Alright, so for this install, all I need are the wires, some waterproof wire connectors, my wire cutters, and then of course the landscape lights. I might need a box cutter, but we'll see. So I got these lights on Amazon. I'll have a link in the description for these specific ones, and they are 3000 Kelvin, warm white, and there's a 6-pack, and they are waterproof. Luckily, Amazon already opened it for me, so it should be easy to get them out. So it comes in packaging like this. I already unwrapped one, and you can see the light is over here, drops down, and disperses. The wiring looks like it has 2 wires coming out of the end. I'm not sure which is which yet, but I can just plug that into my power source really quickly. In a previous video, I did wire up these lights for my patio, and I'll include a link in the description, or link for that video right up here. Anyways, for that video, I left this one wire hanging at the end because I knew that I was going to be doing something like this. So I'm going to untwist this and then power that into one of the lights that I have to see how it powers. So taking off this old wire connector, you can see that it had some like silicone or some sort of lubricant to keep water from coming in. I probably can't reuse this now, and I probably have to wipe this off before I use it. Alright, so I've cleaned off the wire and also stripped it and separated it. So to identify which wire is which, if you look at it really closely, you'll see that one wire has writing on it and the other doesn't. You'll see the same thing happening on the wire for this light, so you just twist those together. So this is the wires together, so I'm just going to hand twist them. And then these are the other wires, the ones without writing on them. And for now, before I put the wire connectors on there, I'm going to turn on the power source to see if it works. So for me, 0 means on. I can see this light's on, and you can see that light's on right there. Right there. Alright, so all that was really doing was just checking how to wire the lights. So now I'm just going to route the wires all the way from the backyard to the front yard, and then put little spaces in for where I'm going to put the lights. And this is the type of landscape wire I'm using. So I'm routing my wires about 100 feet, and to keep them in place while I'm doing that, I'm using these landscape pins, and you can easily just tack them in with a rubber mallet. You definitely don't need these, but I was finding that as I was trying to pull the wire to the front yard, I would come back and find the wire like strewn over the patio or something, definitely somewhere I didn't want it. For this project, I'm using 16.2 landscape wire, and I think I'm at just about the limit. If I wanted to extend this another 30 feet to illuminate my trees as well, I might have to go down to 14 or 12 gauge. Alright, so I've roughed in where the lights are going to be as well as the wire, and this is the pathway to my house. So I have an issue here where essentially I can't have this wire just over here like that. So here's how I solve it. So to keep the wire from going through over top the concrete, I have this push rod kit, and essentially it's just structured push rods, or they're just structured pieces of fiberglass. And I notice here that where the brick meets the concrete, there's like a little bit of a gap here. So what I can do with my push rod is just push it through this gap, and it will travel along the brick. And then after I've pushed it through, I can attach this little attachment with a little hook thingy and pretty much just hook in my wire. All right, so everything is wired in now. You can see that it's lit up. And essentially, I just pigtailed the three similar wires together. And yeah. So in this clip, all I'm really doing is covering up any exposed wire with some mulch that I have lying around. Essentially, mulch that's already on the ground. In the spring, I'll come back with some more mulch to cover this up even more. In the last clip, I did a really poor job of explaining how to pigtail them together, the wires. So essentially all you're doing is twisting together all of the wires that have wording on them and then twisting that wire connector over it and then doing the same thing with the wire that doesn't have words on it, and then you're good to go. The wire connectors are also waterproof since they have that silicone sealant in them, and they're good for ground contact. I've actually had them already go through 2 snowstorms and 1 rainstorm, and they're still working perfectly fine. Of course, also do your own due diligence and find what works best for you. Alright, so I've moved those solar lights from Costco to the side of my house, and it is only 5:15 p.m. Some of them are already turned on. The others are probably still waiting to be turned on. Meanwhile, this is what the pathway lights look like in the front of the house. I really like how they give the soft glow that's not over the top. Alright, so then let's check back on our solar lights. The timestamp for this video is only 6:21 p.m. and they've already run out of light, so I definitely can't depend on them all night. And then this was the snowstorm that I was mentioning earlier. I just love how the lights look like in the snow, and I also got some spotlights for the front of the house, and I think those look awesome as well. So all in all, a pretty easy project. I finished in about an hour and a half, and I was taking breaks and filming along the way. Hopefully you learned something and you found this video useful, and if you did, consider leaving a like or comment, or consider even subscribing. Until next time, thank you again, and this has been John Hang.